There is nothing worse than poor patter. It can destroy a perfectly good set of songs. So what is good patter, and how do you make sure you're not losing your audience's attention between each song?
Sound check.
G'day, welcome to Voice Essentials, where everybody sings. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm a non-clinical singing voice specialist. And it's my job to help singers, just like you, to get the very best out of their voice. Poor patter, the commentary between songs, can leave your set sounding unrefined and disjointed. We've all heard the young performer introduce their song by saying, "This song is called Slippery Pigs Ain't No Fun. I hope you like it." Introductions like this one always make me feel uncomfortable. Firstly, is there a reason I might not like it? Is the performer actually revealing their deeply seated insecurity with a veiled request to like them as opposed to the song? Beyond that, what's so interesting about Slippery Pigs anyway? Before the singer has even started singing, the audience has been orientated to a negative anticipation of what is about to unfold instead of a positive one. So how do we set up our performances for success? Back in 2009, I had the very good fortune to wander the halls of the Louvre in Paris. I did so with the assistance of a gallery guide. Now, during the tour, we visited a hall filled with magnificent 14th century paintings. Captivated by the artwork, it was our tour guide who drew my attention to the wonderful frames that surrounded the masterpieces. He explained that a good frame does not detract from the art, but instead causes the eye to be drawn inwards towards the painting. If the frame is too large or too elaborate, the eye gets caught admiring that which should be secondary. And this is exactly what our patter should do for our songs. Our patter should draw the audience member toward the song. Importantly, good patter is generally not long-winded. As audience members, we've all had the misfortune to endure a 6-minute intro for a 3-minute song. And at other times, I've sat through patter that reduced the mystery of the song's lyric simply because the performer talked us through each and every line. So how do we avoid these mistakes? Well, let's quickly outline a few things that will help you develop the skill of awesome patter. When working with beginner performers, I highly recommend practicing patter alongside the song. Now, this means that every time you sing through your song, make sure you add your patter as either an intro or outro. By doing so, your patter becomes a part of the piece. For example, when I'm preparing for a show, I'll often formulate what I'm going to say and then rehearse my patter in between songs. And this brings us to the "but what do I say?" question. Well, let's first deal with beginner performers. If you're just starting out, I recommend following the rule of 3s. Name of the song, name of the cover artist, and an interesting tidbit. So, using our rule of 3s, we might introduce a song by saying, "The next song I'll be performing is one of Michael Jackson's most famous pieces. Rolling Stone reports that MJ laid the vocals for this piece in one take." Well, I'm always up for a challenge, so here's my single take of Billie Jean. Short, sharp, and importantly, it builds anticipation for what is coming. Of course, if your song is an original written by your wonderful self, then your patter might read like this. "I wrote my next song on a cold, misty morning after a trip to my local country fair. I find so much inspiration in nature, and animals can be so darn cute, especially piglets. The next piece I've aptly titled, 'Slippery Pigs Ain't No Fun.'" Now, if you're a beginner, you might even want to take the time to write your patter down on paper. I'd stop short of learning it like a script because it can start to sound robotic, but the exercise of writing it down might just help to clarify your thoughts. If you're a seasoned performer, then I encourage you to spend a little more time thinking about what you're saying to your audience and how you're saying it. Take the time to honestly assess whether your patter is adding or subtracting from your performances. If it's the latter, rework your patter by getting back to the basic rule of 3s and rebuild from there. Often the largest hurdle to good patter is performance anxiety. Nerves can cause us to race through our time on stage. Fortunately, a well-prepared patter can allow you a moment to manage your nerves before singing. So make sure you take the time to introduce your piece well. Finally, there is no substitute for live performance. Ultimately, your patter will improve the more time you spend on stage. So get out there and start pattering like a pro. But before you rush off to practice your patter, leave any further suggestions that you might have regarding improving your patter and talking with the audience. I'm sure everyone in the Voice Essentials community would love to learn from your experience. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.